What is retained client SEO? Well, it's a different way of thinking about SEO for personal injury firms. And once you understand it, you'll never look at an SEO report the same way again. Most legal SEO agencies optimize for traffic. Retained client SEO optimizes for retained cases. That one distinction changes almost everything about how a firm should be marketed, measured, and grown. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what retained client SEO is, the 3 stages that make it work, and why it's fundamentally different from the SEO most firms are currently paying for. For those that don't know me, my name is Jesse Stewart, and I am a paralegal turned SEO specialist. I help personal injury law firms generate more retained cases through retained client SEO without PPC dependency. This is actually the first video in a series where I'm going to break down this whole system piece by piece. So if that sounds useful to you, go ahead and hit that like button and let's get into today's video. All right, let's start with the problem, because you can't understand retained SEO until you understand what it's replacing. Right now, if you're a personal injury firm paying for SEO, your monthly report almost certainly looks the same as every other firm's report. Keyword rankings, organic traffic numbers, maybe impressions, maybe a screenshot of you sitting on page 1 for the car accident lawyer in your city. And on the surface, that looks like progress. The graph is trending up and to the right. Your rankings are climbing. Everybody's happy. But here's the question that changes the whole conversation. When was the last time a report told you how many retained cases came from that traffic? Not leads, not phone calls, actually signed active clients. If you can't answer that right now, you're not alone, because almost no firm can. And that's not because the agencies are bad at their jobs. It's because their entire industry has agreed to measure the wrong scoreboard. And everyone's just going along with it. Think about it this way. Rankings and traffic are easy to measure. They fit cleanly into a report. They look impressive on a slide, and they're simple to explain to a client. But easy to report doesn't mean it's what actually matters to your business. A firm can rank number 1 in their city for personal injury lawyer and still get 0 signed cases, either because that traffic isn't converting at all or because it's converting into the wrong kind of case, the small fender benders instead of the serious injury claims that actually move the needle for the firm. So let's talk about where that traffic actually goes, because I think seeing the whole path laid out makes this click instantly. Traffic goes up. That doesn't mean more people are calling your firm. Calls go up. That doesn't mean more consultations are getting booked. Consultations go up. That doesn't mean more cases are actually getting signed. And even when a case does get signed, that doesn't mean it's a good case, the right case value, the right fit, the kind of case your firm actually wants to take on. At every single one of those steps, people drop off. That's called leakage, and it happens constantly. The problem is, most SEO reporting stops at the very first step, traffic, and calls that a win. Here's why this keeps happening even with good, honest agencies. It comes down to an incentive It comes down to an incentive mismatch. Agencies are incentivized to show you wins that are easy to point to, ranking improvements, traffic growth, more leads showing up in a dashboard somewhere. Your firm, on the other hand, is trying to grow its book of retained cases and reduce how dependent it is on expensive paid ads. Those two goals sound familiar on the surface, but they're not the same thing. And the gap between them is exactly where firms lose visibility into what's actually happening with their marketing dollars. So what does this gap actually cost a firm in real terms? You keep paying for SEO that looks good on paper, but doesn't move the actual business. Eventually, you assume SEO just doesn't work. So you pour more of the budget into PPC instead, because at least with PPC, you can literally watch a phone number get clicked. That creates a dependency. SEO never gets credit for the case it actually helped produce because no one traced it back that far. PPC eats more and more of the budget every year, while ad costs for competitive keywords like accident lawyer keep climbing. Meanwhile, the firms that are actually measuring the right thing are quietly building something far more durable, a lower cost acquisition channel that compounds over time instead of resetting every month the ad budget that runs dry. That's the exact gap retained client SEO is built to close. Instead of stopping at rankings and traffic, it tracks the entire path, from the click all the way to the retained case. And it does that through 3 stages. Let's go through each one. Stage 1 is case intent capture. The goal here is simple to say, but easy to get wrong. Attract people who are likely to actually become retained cases, not just people who are curious. Here's the core belief behind this stage. Not all traffic creates cases. That's a huge difference between someone typing, "What is a personal injury case?" into Google out of curiosity, and then someone typing, "Car accident lawyer near me," because they were in an accident yesterday and need help now. The first person might read an article and leave. The second person is a potential client. Case intent capture focuses on the second type of search. That means prioritizing local SEO, Google Maps visibility, practice area pages built around specific injury types, and high commercial intent keywords, things like truck accident attorney plus a city name, or a higher personal injury attorney. It deliberately deprioritizes low intent educational traffic and vanity impressions. The kind of searches that pad the traffic report but barely turn into a phone call. The question this stage is always asking is, are we attracting potential cases or are we just attracting visitors? Those are the very different outcomes, and most legal SEO doesn't separate them at all. Stage 2 is authority conversion, and this is honestly where most SEO breaks down, even when stage 1 goes perfectly. Here's the problem. Ranking does not equal trust. A firm can show up in the exact right search results in front of the exact right person and still lose that person before they ever pick up the phone. Why? Because the website doesn't give them a reason to feel confident calling this specific firm instead of the other 5 firms in the search results next to it. Authority conversion is all about turning that search visibility into an actual book consultation. That means real attorney credibility on the page, case results, reviews, testimonials, clear messaging about what makes this firm different, and a consultation process that's fast and frictionless, not buried behind a clunky contact form. The core belief here is that search visibility without trust leaks cases. You can be sitting in a perfect spot on the search results page and still lose that client to someone with a more convincing website. The positioning statement for this stage is simple. Rankings create visibility. Authority creates consultations. Stage 3 is retained case optimization. And this is the piece that actually makes retained client SEO different from everything else out there. Most legal SEO, even when it's done well, stops at leads. It gets you a call, the form fill, the consultation, and then it stops paying attention. Retained client SEO keeps going. It tracks whether those consultations actually turn into signed, retained clients and at what cost. That means tracking things most agencies never touch, which specific pages and keywords are producing consultations that actually retain, how well intake is aligned with the leads coming in, the true cost per retained case, not just cost per lead, and whether the firm is prioritizing lead volume or actual case quality. The core belief driving this stage is that leads are meaningless if they don't retain. You can have a firm drowning in phone calls and still be losing money if none of these calls turn into signed cases. This is the stage where you go from traffic to consultations to actually retaining cases, and where you finally get real visibility into what's working and what isn't. Now let's put all three stages together, because individually they make sense, but the real value is how they connect. Picture a firm using this system. Case intent capture brings in a person who just searched car accident lawyer right after their accident. So the intent is already high. Authority conversion makes sure that when this person lands on the site, they immediately see real case results, real reviews, and a fast, easy way to book a consultation so they don't bounce to a competitor. Retained case optimization then tracks that specific visitor all the way through, which page they landed on, which keywords brought them in, whether they booked a consultation, and whether that consultation turned into a signed retained case. Now, instead of a report that just says traffic is up, the firm gets a report that says something like, this specific page generated 4 consultations and 2 resigned cases this month. That's the difference between a vanity metric and a business metric. So why is this fundamentally different from what most agencies are doing right now? It's not that other agencies are incompetent or dishonest. Most of them are doing exactly what they've been trained to do and what their own reporting tools are built to show. The industry standard is rankings and traffic, because that's what's easy to measure and easy to put into a slide deck. Retained client SEO rejects that standard entirely. It treats rankings and traffic as a starting point, not the finish line, and it insists on following the data all the way to the only number that actually pays your staff: retained cases. So what does this mean for a firm going forward? If you're currently So what does this mean for a firm going forward? If you're currently paying for SEO, here's the question worth asking your provider directly. Can you show me which pages, which keywords, and which campaigns led to actual retained cases last month? Not calls, not leads, actual signed cases. If the answer is some version of we don't track that, or that's hard to measure, that's worth paying close attention to, because rankings don't pay your staff, and traffic doesn't pay your staff, retained cases do. To sum all this up, retained client SEO is a 3-stage framework built around case intent capture, authority conversion, and retained case optimization. It attracts the right kind of traffic, converts that traffic into consultations through real trust and authority, and then tracks the entire path all the way to a signed, retained case. That's the entire mechanism, and it's the foundation for everything I'm going to be covering in this series going forward. If this made sense to you, do me a favor. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where I'm going to go deeper into each of these 3 stages individually. Hit that like button if you found this useful, and if you know an attorney or a firm owner who's currently frustrated with their SEO or has no idea if it's actually working, send them this video. It might be exactly what they need to hear. Until next time.